I've wanted to do a review of the product that I'm about to review for quite a long time. I've had it for about 3 weeks. So I already did a preliminary review on my blog and I wanted to follow that up with a video. The product I'm talking about is the Real Techniques Stippling Brush by Samantha Chapman, one of the newest ubiquitous kind of brushes on the internet at the moment. Everyone seems to have one, or everyone seems to want one, kind of like the new Naked palette of brushes, I think. So I'm going to get right into it so that I don't waste your time. The aesthetic of this brush, I really don't like it. I'm going to be really excruciatingly honest. If I saw this in Boots or any other kind of high street store, high street shop, I would probably walk past it thinking that it was more aimed at the teenage consumer. This kind of pink and black design, it's really not me. It doesn't detract from the brush, but if I had no prior knowledge of who made this brush, what it was for, the thought that went behind it, then I would pass this by. It's really not to my taste at all. However, I do appreciate that there's a really strong branding. There's the branding with the colour, and the design is a very strong aesthetic in itself. It's a very individual design, not one that I've seen. So the aesthetic for this brush is an all-in-one ferrule and handle. It's very lightweight, and it has a rubberized base which stands up, so it allows you to stand your brush up on your dressing table, vanity, bathroom, whatever. I don't really get what it's for. I mean, obviously I know the purpose of it is to stand it up, but how many people actually stand their brushes up on their vanity table, dresser, whatever, day by day? Because I just put mine in a mug or a pot. So for me, this is a pretty redundant feature. I don't really understand it, but I guess it's a feature. As for the quality, the bristles are synthetic. They are apparently hand cut. I've had no bristle breakage or dye shedding or bristles shedding of any kind, and I've washed this a lot and it was withstood a lot of washing. So it has a lightweight aluminium handle. It feels really sturdy. It's not too heavy. It's a nice brush to use. It's nice and chunky as well. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. With the softness of the bristles, they're adequate. They're adequately soft. It's not the softest brush I've ever felt. It is quite soft. It's not as soft, however, as the e.l.f. stippling brush or the MAC 187, but these kind of stippling brushes in this style with the longer bristles, they differ because they have much more pliable bristles than Samantha Chapman's stippling brush. So already there's a huge difference in this stippling brush, this style, and then Samantha Chapman's style. I'll get onto that in a minute. I just wanted to say one more thing about the bristles. They are really nice and stiff. There's not too much give in them. You'll remember with my review of the e.l.f. stippling brush, which I will link below, I was really unimpressed with this brush because I found that the bristles just collapse. All I have to do is bounce it on my hand and they start collapsing. With the Samantha Chapman brush, obviously because they're a lot more densely packed, they're a lot shorter, there's a lot less give, and it's a lot easier to use in terms of dispersing product across your face. So in terms of where does this brush kind of sit in the spectrum of stippling brushes, which sounds really pretentious actually, it's bigger than the MAC 130, smaller than the 187, it is denser than the e.l.f. stippling brush, it is smaller than the e.l.f. stippling brush, it is shorter than the e.l.f. stippling brush. It's really just like a big 130. I also have some other many and various flat top brushes here to show you the size difference with the Real Techniques stippling brush. So we've got this Real Techniques here, we've got the Sonia Kashuk, which is about the same size, I would say. We've got the Sigma F80, the e.l.f. powder brush, and then the e.l.f. stippling brush. So the way that I used this, the first time I ever used this, I used it the way that it was intended. The way that I understand stippling is to go like this and then buff it in in small circular motions. That's the way I used it. I had flawless skin. I used it with more difficult to blend foundations such as MAC Pro Long Wear, Estee Lauder Double Wear, and had absolutely no problems with it. Really, really liked the finish. Had a flawless finish all day. Looked great. Problem was I used a lot more product and my skin looked a lot less natural. It did look pixel perfect, to quote the website, but I'd used a lot more product. It's performed kind of adequately to well depending on what I've used it for. I didn't mind it for powder blush. I didn't like it for powder in my face. Why send a tiny brush to do a big brush's job? However, it was adequate for brush laundry day. But I don't think that's what it was advertised for anyway. I was just doing it out of curiosity. Cream blush, I really, really like the effect. So what I would say for this brush is what makes it really, really good is that it fits really nicely around the contours of the face. So it's really, really nice for application of foundation. Personally, I have other brushes which do my cream blushes better than this one. However, it does work quite well. So I really like it because of the small size. I think it's a toss-up with these kinds of brushes. Do you want quick coverage or do you want thorough, nice, close to your nose coverage with no streaking? So on the brush size, I'm really sold. I really, really like the size of this. I like the way it fits under my eyes. The bristles don't splay and they don't get in my eyes, which was my main gripe with the 187 from MAC. So just go on to some main pros and cons. I think the first thing is that it's reasonably priced. It cost me about $10.99 thereabouts, which I think markets it firmly as kind of drugstore high street. Also, it's vegan, it's cruelty free, which I'm sure a lot of people will like the idea of. It's really, really well made. It's really nice and sturdy. No bristles have fallen out. It washes really well and it's soft enough. It's small enough for the contours of the face. It's a really, really nice size and it works really, really well. The thing that really bothers me about this brush is the price hike from the US to the UK market, because this cost me £10 and I think that's a reasonable amount to pay. Until I realised that in the US the price for this is $9.99. I paid $10.99. I'm paying a lot more and that has really wound me up a little bit actually. So my conclusion really, I really, really like this brush. I like the way it performs. I really like the quality. Hate the design. Don't see the point in this thing to stand it up because I'm never going to use that function of it. However, I do recognise it as quite a new, innovative function. I like the quality. I like the way it washes. It's nice and soft enough. I do like the way it applies product. So the point is it the best brush that I've ever used? No. I would still say that the best budget brush for me is the e.l.f. powder brush, but I think this is a worthy contender. It's nice and small, it's well made, it's a reasonable price. It's a really good brush. Hopefully you found this review helpful. I've been wanting to review this brush for so long, but I didn't really want to rely on my knee-jerk reaction to it. So yeah, good brush, goodbye. Man, I sound like the weakest link.